She mocked a single dad for buying a $100 car 5 days later. A racing legend bought it for $5 million? On a humid Sunday morning when most of the street was still pretending to wake up slowly, Amir Qureshi dragged a dead car into his driveway with a rope that looked like it had already lived 3 lives. The car didn't roll so much as resist. One wheel locked. The other squealed. Rust flaked off in thin orange sheets and scattered across the asphalt like dry leaves. A boy across the street stopped mid-bite of his breakfast sandwich. "Is that garbage?" he said. It wasn't far off. The thing had no paint left, just uneven patches of dull metal and corrosion. The windshield was fogged from the inside like it had forgotten how to be clear. One headlight hung loose, angled downward as if it had given up trying to look forward. Amir didn't rush. He never rushed. He stepped out of the pickup, wiped his hands on a rag tucked into his back pocket, and checked the rope again like this was just another ordinary job. It wasn't. From the corner house with the polished marble steps and the always perfect garden, Nadia Rahman appeared exactly on time, coffee cup in hand, sunglasses already on despite the soft morning light. She didn't even try to hide the smile. "You paid money for that?" she called out loud enough that it carried. A couple walking their dog slowed down. Amir kept his back to her. "It runs?" she added. He bent slightly, examining the front axle. "It will." They got a laugh. Not loud. Not cruel. But enough. Nadia took a sip of her coffee, watching him the way people watch something mildly embarrassing but hard to look away from. "You know," she said, stepping a little closer to the gate, "kids learn by watching." Amir paused just for a second. Across the driveway, his son Hassan stood quietly near the garage door, holding a small plastic truck in one hand. He hadn't said anything yet. He was just watching. Nadia tilted her head slightly. "You just showed him how to throw money away." The words hung there. Not sharp enough to cut, but heavy enough to land. Hassan looked at the car. Then at his father. "Baba, is it broken?" he asked softly. Amir straightened, finally turning, not toward Nadia but toward his son. "Yeah," he said. Hassan nodded, thinking about that. "Can you fix it?" Amir looked back at the car. There was something in the shape of it, buried under damage, under neglect, that didn't match the rest of the story it was telling. Something intentional. "I think so," he said. Behind him, Nadia let out a small, amused breath. "For $100, she said. "That's not fixing. That's wishing." Amir didn't respond. He crouched down again, unhooking the rope carefully, as if the car deserved patience even if no one else thought so. The metal groaned when he touched it. Hassan stepped closer, stopping just at the edge of the driveway. "Can I help?" he asked. Amir handed him the rag. "Hold this." Hassan took it seriously, gripping it like it mattered. Nadia watched for another moment, then shook her head slightly, turning back toward her house. "Some lessons," she said over her shoulder, "people insist on learning the hard way." She disappeared inside. The street slowly resumed its rhythm. Footsteps, distant doors, a passing car, but something had shifted. Amir stood there for a long moment after the rope was free. Then he placed his hand flat against the car's side. Cold, uneven, silent, but not empty. Hassan leaned in beside him. "What's its name?" the boy asked. Amir let out a quiet breath. "Don't know yet." Hassan studied it, eyes narrowing just a little like he was trying to hear something no one else could. Then he said very simply, "It looks fast." Amir glanced at him. A small smile barely there. "Yeah." Hassan nodded. "Just hiding it." Amir looked back at the car. "Maybe." He picked up his tools. "Go get the toolbox from inside." Hassan ran. Amir stayed where he was, staring at the lines of the car, really staring now. Most people saw a mistake. A bad decision. $100 regret. 5 days later, a man who had spent his entire life around machines like this would stand in the same driveway, and forget how to speak for nearly a full minute. And when he finally did, everything everyone thought they knew about that rusted car would be wrong. Amir picked up the wrench, and went to work. Before heading forward to our story, please subscribe our channel. Your support means a world to us. Amir woke up before the alarm. He always did. The room was still dark, the kind of quiet that exists just before morning decides to arrive. For a few seconds he stayed still, eyes open, listening, not for anything specific, just listening. Then he turned his head. The other side of the bed was empty. It had been for 3 years. He didn't look at it long. He never did. Instead he sat up, ran a hand over his face and stood. The floor was cool under his feet as he moved through the small house with practiced familiarity, like someone who had repeated the same movements enough times that they no longer required thought. The kitchen light flicked on. A soft yellow glow. Routine began. The kettle went on first. Then the lunchbox. Then the bread. He moved quietly but not carefully. There was a difference. Careful meant hesitation. This was precision. Peanut butter. Jam. Cut diagonally. Hassan didn't like straight cuts. Said they felt wrong. Amir wrapped the sandwich in foil, pressed the edges down neatly, and placed it inside the lunchbox along with a small apple and a packet of biscuits he'd bought in bulk because they were cheaper that way. The kettle clicked. He poured the tea. For a moment, just a moment, he poured 2 cups. Then he stopped, looked at the second cup, poured it back into the kettle without a word. "Baba?" The voice came from the hallway, still thick with sleep. Amir didn't turn immediately. "In here." Hassan shuffled in, hair a mess, one sock on, one missing, dragging his small blanket behind him like it was still negotiating whether the day should begin. "You woke up early," Amir said. Hassan climbed onto the chair. "I didn't sleep properly." "Why?" Hassan shrugged. "Was thinking." "About what?" Hassan paused. "The car." Amir almost smiled. By 6:15 breakfast was done. By 6:30 Hassan was dressed, 2 different socks, but that was a battle Amir had quietly stopped fighting months ago. By 6:45 they were outside. The morning air carried that faint mix of dust and coolness that disappears too quickly once the sun fully commits. The car sat where they'd left it. So, unchanged. Unimpressed by their attention. Hassan walked up to it first. He touched the door lightly like you would touch something that might wake up if you pressed too hard. "Did it move?" he asked. Amir shook his head. "Not yet." Hassan nodded like that made perfect sense. School drop-off was quick. Hassan jumped out of the car, then leaned back in through the open door. "Don't fix it without me," he said. Amir raised an eyebrow. "I won't." "Promise." "Promise." Hassan studied his face for a second, making sure. Then he smiled, a small crooked thing, and ran inside. Amir watched until he disappeared. Then he drove back home. The garage smelled like oil, metal, and something older, like time had settled into the concrete and decided not to leave. It wasn't large. 1 car space. A workbench. Shelves filled with tools collected over years, none of them matching, all of them used. The radio sat in the corner, slightly cracked, permanently tuned to a station that played songs from a decade Amir didn't really belong to but had somehow grown used to. He turned it on. Oh, just enough to break the silence. Then he stood in front of the car. Really stood this time. Not passing by. Not glancing. Looking. "All right," he said quietly. "Let's see what you are." He started with the exterior. Cloth. Solvent. Slow circles. Rust didn't come off easily, it resisted, flaking in uneven patches, revealing glimpses of what used to be underneath. The metal wasn't uniform. That was the first thing. Different thicknesses. Subtle variations. Edges that weren't perfectly machine-cut. Amir frowned slightly. He moved to the rear panel. Same thing. Not factory. Not standard. Not normal. By mid-morning, sweat had settled into his shirt. He didn't notice. Didn't care. The world had narrowed to the car. Around noon, Elijah walked in without knocking. He never knocked. "Thought you'd be here," he said, holding 2 takeaway cups. Amir didn't turn. "Where else would I be?" Elijah handed him a cup. Amir took it, still looking at the car. "What do you think?" Elijah asked. Amir took a sip. "It's wrong." Elijah raised an eyebrow. "Wrong how?" Amir stepped back slightly, gesturing toward the side panel. "Look at that curve." Elijah leaned in. "It's a car," he said. Amir shook his head. "No. Look properly." Elijah squinted. Waited. Tilted his head slightly. Then leaned closer. Another second. Then another. "Okay," he said slowly. "That's not factory." Amir nodded. "Yeah." Elijah straightened. "So what is it?" Amir wiped his hands on the rag. "I don't know yet." Elijah looked at the car again. Then at Amir. Then back at the car. "You paid $100 for something you don't know yet?" Amir took another sip of tea. "Yeah." Elijah let out a short breath. "You're either very smart," he said, "or very tired." Amir almost smiled. They worked in silence for a while. The kind that didn't need filling. Metal clinked. Tools shifted. The radio murmured in the background. Around 2 o'clock, Elijah slid under the car on a creeper. A minute passed. Then 2. Then, Amir. His tone had changed. Amir crouched slightly. "What?" "Come here." Amir lay down beside him, looking up at the undercarriage. There were welds. Cling. Precise. Too precise. Reinforcements at stress points that most people wouldn't even think about. "Who does this?" Elijah said quietly. Amir didn't answer immediately. He traced one of the weld lines with his finger. Someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Elijah rolled out slowly. "Yeah. I don't like that answer." By late afternoon, the light had shifted. Hassan came home, dropping his bag at the door before running straight to the garage. "Did you start?" he asked, slightly out of breath. Amir stepped aside. Come see. Hassan walked around the car slowly. Serious. Focused. He pointed at a small clean patch. It's shiny there. Yeah. Was it always like that? No, Hassan nodded. Processing. Then he looked up. Can I do something? Amir handed him a smaller cloth. Just here. Gently. Hassan took the job like it mattered. Because to him, it did. They worked side by side. One experienced. One learning. Neither speaking much. But connected in a way that didn't need explanation. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows into the garage, Hassan suddenly said, Baba? Oh. If it's broken, why does it feel not broken? Amir paused. Looked at him, then at the car. Then back at him. I don't know, he said honestly. Hassan nodded like that was a good enough answer. That night, after dinner, after Hassan had fallen asleep on the couch and Amir had carried him to bed, the house went quiet again. The deep kind. The kind that presses in. Amir went back to the garage. Turned on the light. Closed the door halfway. The radio clicked on again. Same station. Same low volume. He sat on the small stool for a moment. Just looking at the car. No tools. No movement. Just looking. Then he stood. Walked to the driver's side. Opened the door. It creaked. Resistant. Inside, everything smelled like dust and forgotten time. The seats were torn. The dashboard cracked. But underneath, there was something else. Something structured. Intentional. He wiped the floor panel slowly. Dirt came away in layers. And then, numbers. Stamped. Not printed. Not labeled. Stamped into the metal itself. Amir froze. He leaned closer. Wiped again. Clearer now. A sequence. Not standard. Not familiar. What are you? He whispered. He pulled out his phone. Took a picture. Zoomed in. Zoomed out. Took another. Then he sat back on the stool. Staring at the image. At the car. At the space between what he knew and what he was starting to suspect. Somewhere in the house, Hassan turned in his sleep. The floor creaked softly. Then silence again. Amir looked at the car one more time. Long, steady. Focused. Yeah, he said quietly, you're not just broken. Outside the street was calm. Normal. Unaware. But something had already started. And it wasn't going to stay small for long. Amir didn't sleep much that night. Not because he was restless. Because his mind refused to settle. At 1:12 a.m. he was still in the garage. Phone in one hand. The other resting on the edge of the car's door frame. The numbers on the floor panel glowed faintly under the work light. Stamp. Deliberate. But not random. Okay, he muttered, scrolling. He tried variations. Different formats. Spacing them out. Removing characters. Adding dashes. Nothing. Every search came back empty. At 1:47 a.m., he leaned back on the stool and let out a slow breath. This doesn't make sense. The radio crackled softly in the background, an old song fading into static before correcting itself again. He looked at the car. You should exist somewhere. At 2:03 a.m. he took another photo. Closer this time. Then one of the welds underneath. Then the strange curve on the rear panel. Then the inside of the door. He didn't know exactly what he was looking for. But he knew this, someone somewhere would. By 2:25 a.m., he had created an account on a forum he hadn't visited in years. ClassicTrackArchive.net. Old interface. Black background. White text. Threads that looked like they hadn't changed since the early 2000s. People there didn't post often. But when they did, it mattered. He uploaded the photos. One by one. Added a simple description. Bought this car from a salvage yard. No visible VIN. Hand-built elements. Found this chassis number stamped into the floor. Anyone recognize this format? He hovered over the post button for a second. Then clicked. Let's see, he said quietly. He didn't expect much. Maybe one reply. Two at most. I guess. A theory. By 6:10 a.m., there were 18 replies. Amir stared at the screen. Refreshed. 23. Refreshed again. 31. What? He leaned closer. Scrolling. Reading. User, IronGear82 looks like a custom build. Probably some guy's garage project. User, Track Oldtimer, those welds aren't amateur. Whoever did this new racing structure. User, Vine Hunter, that number format is wrong. Not US. Not EU standard either. Amir's eyes moved faster now. He wasn't breathing normally. User, Garage_Legend, stop posting more pictures publicly. Amir paused. Scroll back. Read it again. Another reply came in while he was watching. User, garage_legend_x. If that chassis stamp is real, you might have something that's been missing for a long time. Amir sat back slowly. Missing. A notification pinged. Private message received from garage_legend_x. He opened it. The message was short. Take this seriously. Don't share more details publicly. That stamp. I've only seen something like it once in a registry from the early 70s. Can you send clearer photos privately? Amir looked at the car. Then back at the screen. What are you? He whispered again. The kettle clicked in the kitchen. Morning had arrived without asking. Hassan walked in a few minutes later, rubbing his eyes. You didn't sleep? He asked. Amir locked the phone and put it down. I did. Hassan narrowed his eyes slightly. No, you didn't. Amir gave a small smile. Go brush your teeth. Breakfast felt different. Quieter. Not heavy, just aware. Like something was waiting. Did you fix it? Hassan asked between bites. Not yet. Did you find anything? Amir paused. Maybe. Hassan leaned forward. Like what? Amir looked at him for a second. Then shook his head slightly. Still figuring it out. Hassan nodded. Satisfied for now. After school drop-off, Amir went straight back to the garage. No detours. No hesitation. Elijah was already there. Leaning against the workbench. Arms crossed. You look like you saw something you weren't supposed to, he said. Amir walked in. Picked up his phone. Held it out. Read. Elijah took it. Scrolled. Stopped. Scrolled again. His expression shifted. Slowly. Okay, he said. That's not normal. Amir nodded. Yeah. Elijah looked up. You post anything else? No, good. Elijah handed the phone back. Because this, he tapped the screen lightly, this is how things get weird. Amir exhaled. They already are. They worked again. But this time, it wasn't routine. It was investigation. Amir moved to the passenger side pillar. Something had been bothering him. A slight difference in paint thickness. He hadn't paid attention yesterday. Now he did. Hand me the fine grit, he said. Elijah passed it over. What are you doing? Checking something. Amir started sanding. Slow. Careful. Not removing, revealing. The black layer came off unevenly. Underneath, a different color. Faint. But there. Elijah leaned in. That's not primer. Amir kept going. No more sanding. More exposure. The color deepened. A strange shade. Not white. Not blue. Something in between. Metallic. Subtle. Elijah's voice dropped. I've seen that before. Amir stopped. Looked at him. Where? Elijah shook his head. I don't know, but it's familiar. Amir switched angles. Moved to the inner side of the pillar. Closer. More controlled. Then he hit something. Not resistance. Not a dent. Something defined. He slowed down. Carefully clearing around it. Dust falling away in thin layers. And then, it appeared. A stamp. Pressed into the metal itself. It. Permanent. Elijah leaned in. That's not factory. Amir didn't respond. He wiped it clean with the cloth. The mark became clearer. A number, and beside it, a signature. 3 letters. Connected. Stylized. No way, Elijah whispered. Amir's voice was barely audible. You recognize it? Elijah shook his head slowly. No, but someone will. Amir grabbed his phone. Took photos. Multiple angles. Zoomed in. Zoomed out. Hands slightly unsteady now. Post it? Elijah asked. Amir hesitated. Then shook his head. No. Private first. He opened the message thread. Sent the images directly to garage_legend_tx. No caption. Just photos. Then they waited. 5 minutes. Nothing. 10 minutes. Still nothing. Elijah shifted. This is stupid, he muttered. Why am I nervous? Amir didn't answer. Because he was too. At exactly 12 minutes, the phone buzzed. Message received. Amir opened it. Read. Then didn't move. Elijah leaned closer. What? Amir handed him the phone. Elijah read. What? Then again. Then a third time. Say that out loud, he said quietly. Amir swallowed slightly. Then read, if that stamp is authentic, you need to stop everything. That signature belongs to Marcus Hale. Elijah blinked. Who? Amir kept reading. Voice lower now. Lead chassis engineer for Veyron Motorsport Group, early 1970s. designed one of the most advanced experimental racing platforms of its time. Most of his prototypes were lost in a warehouse fire in 1984. Silence. Elijah frowned. Okay, and? Amir looked at him. Eyes sharper now. One prototype was never officially accounted for. The garage felt smaller suddenly. Elijah let out a slow breath. You're telling me? Amir didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Because both of them were now looking at the same thing. Not a broken car. Not a project. Not a mistake. Something that had been missing. From inside the house, Hassan's voice echoed faintly, Baba, can I come out? Amir didn't answer immediately. He was still staring at the car. At the mark. At the shape of it. Elijah spoke first. What do we do now? Amir finally moved. Set the phone down slowly. Ran his hand along the side of the car. Now. He looked at the garage door. At the quiet street beyond it. At a world that still thought this was nothing. We find out exactly what this is. And somewhere far away, without them knowing, someone else had just started looking too. The email arrived at 8:42 p.m. Amir almost ignored it. He was sitting at the kitchen table, a half-eaten plate of food in front of him, staring at nothing in particular while Hassan built something complicated and slightly unstable out of plastic blocks on the floor. The phone buzzed once. He glanced at it. Unknown sender. Professional-looking address. He let it sit. It buzzed again. Same sender. Baba, look, Hassan said, holding up something that vaguely resembled a car but had wheels in places wheels probably shouldn't be. Amir nodded. That's good. It's fast, Hassan added. Looks like it. Hassan smiled, satisfied. The phone buzzed a third time. Amir picked it up this time. Opened the email. Read the first line. Then the second. Then he sat up straighter. What? Hassan asked immediately. Amir didn't answer. He kept reading. Slowly now. Carefully. Like the words might rearrange themselves if he rushed. Subject. Inquiry regarding vehicle in your possession, Mr. Qureshi. My name is Daniel Voss. I represent Mr. Adrian Keller. We have reason to believe you may currently be in possession of a vehicle connected to a long-lost experimental racing program. If this is correct, Mr. Keller would like to meet with you at your earliest convenience. We can arrange travel or visit you directly. Please confirm. Amir read the name again. Adrian Keller. He didn't react immediately, but something in his posture changed. Elijah, who had dropped by unannounced as usual and was now leaning against the doorway, noticed it. What happened? Amir handed him the phone. Read. Elijah scanned it, then froze, then looked up slowly. That Keller? Amir nodded once. Elijah let out a short, disbelieving laugh. No. No way. That's not normal. Hassan looked between them. Who's Keller? Amir exhaled. He's someone who knows a lot about cars. Hassan nodded. More than you. Elijah snorted. Kid, he knows more than most people alive. Amir took the phone back. Scrolled to the bottom of the email. There was a number. A direct line. He stared at it. Didn't press it. Not yet. What are you going to do? Elijah asked. Amir didn't answer immediately. Instead he looked toward the garage door. Close. Still. Waiting. I don't know yet, he said finally. Hassan stood up and walked over. Is it about the car? Amir nodded slightly. Yeah. Is something wrong? Amir looked at him. Then shook his head. No, Hassan thought about that. Then something is right? Amir paused. Maybe. That night, after Hassan had gone to bed, Amir sat in the garage alone again. The light hummed softly overhead. The car sat exactly where it had been. Unmoved. Unchanged. And yet, everything had changed. He walked around it slowly. Same path. Same steps. But now, every detail felt louder. More intentional. More watched. Who are you? He said quietly. The phone was still in his hand. The number still on the screen. He pressed it. It rang once. Twice. Then, Daniel Voss speaking. The voice was calm. Precise. Professional. Amir cleared his throat slightly. This is Amir Qureshi. Pause. Not long. But enough to feel intentional. Mr. Qureshi, Daniel said, tone shifting slightly. Thank you for calling back. Amir leaned against the workbench. You said someone wants to meet. Yes. Why? Another pause. Then, because if what we believe is correct, the vehicle you have is not just rare. Amir waited. It's historically significant. Silence settled between them for a second. Amir spoke again. What exactly do you think it is? Daniel didn't rush the answer. We would prefer to discuss that in person. Amir exhaled slowly. You already know something. Yes. Then say it. Another pause. Slightly longer this time. We believe it may be the Hale prototype. The words landed. Heavy. Amir closed his eyes for a second. Not out of shock, but to steady something internal that had already started shifting. That was supposed to be destroyed, he said quietly. That's correct. So why are you calling me? Because if it still exists, Daniel said, voice even, then the history everyone accepted is wrong. Amir opened his eyes, looked at the car. And your boss? He asked. Mr. Keller was personally involved in that era of development, Daniel replied. He has been looking for confirmation for over a decade. Amir let out a slow breath. And now he thinks I have it. Yes. Silence again. Then Amir said, you can come tomorrow. The next morning didn't feel like a morning. It felt like a countdown. Amir woke up at 4:30. Didn't try to go back to sleep. By 5 o'clock the house was moving. Routine but tighter. Sharper. Hassan noticed. You're walking fast, he said. Amir glanced at him. Am I? Yeah. Hassan chewed his toast thoughtfully. Are you nervous? Amir paused. A little. Hassan nodded. That's okay. Elijah arrived at 8:15. No coffee this time. Just tension. You ready? He asked. Amir shrugged slightly. No, good, Elijah said. That would have been weird. At 9:58, a black car turned onto the street. Not flashy. Not loud. Just deliberate. It stopped in front of the house exactly at 10 o'clock. Hassan stood near the door, peeking out. Is that him? Amir nodded once. Stay inside for now. Hassan didn't argue. Just watched. The passenger door opened. A man stepped out. Late 50s. Sharp posture. Calm movements. The kind of presence that didn't need to announce itself. Adrian Keller. He didn't look around much. Didn't take in the neighborhood. Didn't acknowledge the watching windows. He walked straight toward the garage. Amir met him halfway. They didn't shake hands immediately. They just looked at each other. Measuring. Understanding. You're Amir? Keller said. Yes. Keller nodded once. May I? He gestured toward the garage. Amir stepped aside. Go ahead. Keller entered slowly. Not cautiously. Respectfully. Then he saw the car. And stopped. Completely. No movement. No words. No reaction, at least not immediately. Elijah, standing near the wall, glanced at Amir. Then back at Keller. 10 seconds passed. Then 20. Finally, Keller exhaled. Slow. Controlled. I don't believe it, he said quietly. He stepped closer. One hand lifting slightly, hovering just above the surface before finally touching the metal. This, he murmured, this isn't possible. Amir watched him carefully. You recognize it. Keller didn't answer immediately. He walked around the car. Slowly. Eyes scanning every detail. Every curve. Every imperfection. Then he crouched near the B-pillar. Saw the mark. The stamp. His hand stopped midair. Marcus, he whispered. The name carried weight. Not just recognition. Memory. Keller sat back slightly on his heels. Still staring. Elijah, Amir said quietly without looking away, closed the door. The garage door rolled down, sealing the space, cutting off the outside world. Keller stood up slowly, turned to Amir. Where did you find this? Salvage yard. Keller blinked once. No. Yes. For how much? Amir didn't hesitate. 100. Elijah let out a quiet breath behind them. Keller looked back at the car. Then at Amir. Then back again. That's not, he stopped himself. Then tried again. That doesn't make sense. Amir shrugged slightly. Most things don't at first. Keller walked to the front of the car. Opened what remained of the hood. Looked inside. Long focused. Then he stepped back. Ran a hand over his face. You know what this is? He asked. Amir shook his head. Not fully. Keller nodded slowly. Then said, this is the Hale prototype. Built in 1972. It was never supposed to leave testing. Silence. It introduced a chassis concept that changed endurance racing design for years, Keller continued. But it was unstable. Too advanced for its time. They shut it down. Amir listened. Carefully. And Marcus Hale? He asked. Keller's expression shifted slightly. He was the mind behind it. Pause. He died before it was finished. Elijah spoke quietly. So this car? Keller looked at the stamp again. was his last work. The words settled. Heavy. Final. From inside the house, a small voice, Baba? Hassan stepped into the garage slowly, holding his plastic car. He stopped when he saw Keller. Looked at him. Then at Amir. Can I come? He asked. Amir nodded. Yeah. Hassan walked in. Stood next to his father. Looked at the real car. Then at Keller. What's his name? He asked. Keller blinked slightly. His. The car, Hassan said. Amir looked at him. Then said, he named it. Keller's eyes shifted. To what? Hassan answered before Amir could. Shadow. Silence. Keller looked at the car again. Then back at Hassan. That's a good name, he said quietly. Hassan nodded. I know. Keller straightened. Looked at Amir. I'd like to buy it. No build-up. No hesitation. Just truth. Amir didn't react immediately. How much? Elijah asked, unable to stop himself. Keller didn't look at him. His eyes stayed on Amir. 5 million. The garage went still. Even the radio seemed to fade. Hassan looked up. Is that a lot? Amir didn't answer. Keller added, I'm not negotiating. That's its value, to me and to history. Amir finally spoke. Why? Keller's voice softened slightly. Because some things shouldn't stay lost. If you have come this far, please subscribe our channel. Your support literally means a lot to us. The number didn't feel real. It sat there in the air, 5 million, like something that belonged to another life, another person, another kind of story. Not this one. Not a small garage on a narrow street where tools were mismatched and morning started before sunrise. No one spoke for a few seconds. Then Hassan broke it. Is that more than 1,000? He asked, looking up at Amir. Elijah let out a short breath that almost turned into a laugh. Yeah, he said softly. It's more than 1,000. Hassan nodded, processing that. Okay. Then he looked back at the car. A shadow. Like that was still the most important part. Keller didn't rush. He stood there, hands loosely at his sides, the way someone stands when they already know the weight of what they've said and don't need to push it further. Amir finally looked at him. You said it shouldn't stay lost. Keller nodded. Yes. And if I say no? Keller met his eyes directly. Then it stays with you. No pressure. No persuasion. Just fact. Elijah shifted slightly. Amir, he said quietly, that's... He didn't finish. Didn't need to. Amir turned his head. Looked at the car again. Not like before. Not like something mysterious. Now, like something that had been waiting. Hassan tugged his sleeve. Baba? Will it go away? Amir crouched slightly to his level. Maybe. Hassan frowned. I just met it. The honesty in that landed deeper than anything else in the room. Keller watched them. Something in his expression softened. Not dramatically, just enough to notice if you were paying attention. Amir stood back up slowly. Took a breath. Then said, I have a condition. Elijah blinked. Keller didn't. Go on. Amir gestured lightly toward the car. It doesn't go into a private collection. A small pause. It goes somewhere people can see it. Keller's eyes shifted briefly to the car. Then back. That can be arranged. Amir nodded once. And the story matters. Keller didn't interrupt. Amir continued, the engineer. Marcus Hale. His name doesn't disappear behind yours or anyone else's. His voice stayed calm. Steady. But it gets explained properly. Not technical language that only a few people understand. Real explanation. So someone like him doesn't get forgotten again. Keller held his gaze for a moment. Then nodded. Agreed. Amir hesitated. Just for a second. Then added, and his name stays. Keller frowned slightly. Whose? Amir glanced down. At Hassan. Shadow, he said. There was a quiet shift in the room. Small. But real. Keller looked at the car again. Then at Hassan. Of course, he said. Hassan straightened a little. Proud but trying not to show it too much. Elijah let out a slow breath through his nose. You just named a $5 million car, he muttered. Hassan looked at him. It already had a name. Keller almost smiled. Amir extended his hand. Keller took it. The handshake wasn't long. It didn't need to be. All right, Amir said quietly. And just like that, the decision was made. 3 weeks later the money arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. No ceremony. No announcement. Just a number on a screen. Amir sat at the same kitchen table where he'd read the first email. Laptop open. Hands resting on either side of it. He stared at the balance. Didn't move. Didn't react. Just sat. Hassan walked in. Climbed onto the chair next to him. What are you looking at? Amir turned the screen slightly. Hassan squinted. That's a lot of zeros. Yeah. Is it real? Amir nodded. Yeah. Hassan thought about that. Then asked, can we still have dinner? Amir blinked once. Then let out a small, quiet laugh. Yeah, he said. We can still have dinner. The first call he made wasn't to a bank. It wasn't to a friend. It wasn't even to Elijah. It was to the hospital. Billing department, a voice answered. Yes, Amir said steady. I'm calling about an outstanding balance. There was a pause as details were pulled up. Then, yes sir. There is a remaining, I'd like to clear it, Amir said. Silence. Then, all of it. Amir looked at the wall. At nothing in particular. All of it. The conversation lasted less than 5 minutes. When it ended, he closed the laptop slowly. Sat there for a second. The room felt different. Not bigger. Not brighter. Just lighter. That evening he took Hassan to a shoe store. Not a big one. Not fancy. Just the one Hassan had once stopped in front of months ago. Hassan picked up a pair. Turned them over in his hands. These are the ones, he said quietly. Amir nodded. Try them. Hassan sat down. Put them on. Stood up. Walked a few steps. Then looked down at his feet like they were something new. They fit, he said. Amir smiled. Good. Hassan looked up. We can buy them? Amir didn't answer immediately. He just nodded once. Hassan didn't jump. Didn't shout. He just smiled. What? Real. That mattered more. A month later the museum wasn't loud. It wasn't crowded. It was quiet in the way places are when people come to look, not just pass through. Amir and Hassan stood at the entrance of the gallery. Hassan held his hand. Tighter than usual. Is it here? He asked. Amir nodded. Yeah. They walked in slowly. Step by step. And there it was. Shadow. Not rusted. Not broken. Not forgotten. Restored. But not overdone. Every line intact. Every curve respected. The same shape just remembered. Hassan stopped walking. That's him, he said quietly. Amir didn't correct him. Keller stood nearby. Waiting. Not intruding. You kept your word, Amir said. Keller nodded. I said I would. They walked closer. The information placard stood beside the car. Plain. Simple. Amir read it slowly. Every word. Marcus Hale's name was there. Clear. Not hidden. Not secondary. The engineering was explained simply. Honestly. Without trying to impress, just trying to tell. And near the bottom, a line. The vehicle was named Shadow by Hassan Qureshi, who believed it was never broken, only hiding what it really was. Hassan read it twice. Then looked up. That's me. Amir nodded. Yeah. Hassan stepped a little closer to the car. Didn't touch it. Just stood there. Looking. Is he happy here? He asked. Amir followed his gaze. Took his time answering. I think so. Hassan nodded. Good. He slipped his hand back into Amir's. Can we get food now? He asked. The one with the sauce. Amir smiled. Not small this time. Not careful. A full, unguarded smile. Yeah, he said. Whatever you want. They turned to leave. Not in a hurry. Not lingering either. Just moving forward. Behind them, people continued to walk through the gallery. Stopping. Looking. Reading. Understanding. And in the middle of it all, something that had once been overlooked, now quietly belonged to everyone who stopped long enough to really see it. Outside the evening air was soft. Warm. Ordinary. Hassan walked beside him, talking about food, about school, about something small and unimportant and completely necessary. Amir listened. Answered. Smiled. Nothing about him looked different. But something had settled. Quiet. Certain. Not the money. Not the recognition. Just the simple, steady understanding that sometimes, the things everyone laughs at first, are the things worth holding on to the longest. And sometimes, all it takes, is stopping long enough, to really look. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe our channel so you will not miss the upcoming stories.